No, Joe. Now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they boss my mind self be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Yeah. So where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my go be fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small.
Go.
Yo, Pana. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expression and soak yourself in a celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th, as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th.
It's an opportunity to see Ghana in a more beautiful, and the people, the connection, incredible.
Discover the beauty and history of our land.
All their labors.
Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March the 29th and 30th.
The millet tozafi, the corn tozafi, we have the tubani, we have the wache, we have the dawadawa jollof rice. We also serve the local northern beverages. That's pito and zonko.
Taste the essence of Ghana.
The first one I was here, the second one I was here, the third one I was here, this one and the fourth one. And it's not just a bazaar, it's a festival now. And I'm so excited because this is what we should be doing.
Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV each week.
Owusu is a general account name. It's Dev's character. Owusu. So that is why the appellation is Owusu Eduam. You see, when an Ashanti is Eduam, it means something that belongs to him. So Dev's character, he comes to you and grab you as if it belongs to him.
Delve into what makes us Ghanaians. The Heritage On Air series is sponsored by the National Lotteries Authority. Explore our places of interest, feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in our indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage in this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors. Toils of the brave which have brought results.
This year, something magical is happening. A celebration of tradition, flavor, and community. Welcome to the Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025.
Taste the heart of your heritage with mouth-watering dishes from across the country like ademe with akple, tozafi with ayoyo soup, kokonte, apopranta, rarankwan, and many more. From rich spices to sweet treats, it's a journey for your senses. We're taking you back to your village.
Oh yes, let's recreate our age-old recipes.
But it's not just about food, you know. We're celebrating culture, connecting with family, and making memories that last a lifetime.
This March, let's come together and discover the flavors that make us who we are. The date is 29th and 30th of March 2025. The venue, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and the time is 10 a.m. through till 6 p.m. each day.
The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025, where food, fun, and tradition meet. See you there.
Interested vendors should call 0558-973-973 or 0205-973-973 to register. The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Gino.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is still Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, live from our studios here in Accra, also live across the country on our affiliates. I am Ni Lati here with Hawa Idrisu. Just so you know, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasaya Latoforsin, will be in Parliament tomorrow to present the maiden budget of the Mahama government, and we are expecting him to outline a number of measures, including what the plans are in terms of revenue enhancing measures as well as, fiscal consolidation measures. And so we have spoken to Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Member of Parliament for Ofuanso Yeri in the Eastern Region, telling us about some of the things you are likely to see when the Finance Minister mounts the podium tomorrow on the floor of the House. But Hawa has some more stories for us.
Health Minister Kwabena Mintah Akando says the government needs 140 million cedis to fully operationalize the Bokoro Agenda 111 hospital in Ahanta West. The facility, commissioned just before the 2024 elections, remains non-functional. During a tour, the minister says there is an urgent need for funding to equip and staff the hospital. He promised swift government action to ensure the community benefits from the much-needed healthcare facility.
And this particular project, you see, completing the project is one thing, and paying for the project to become the property of the state is another thing. We need to cost not less than 9 million US, which is about 140 million Ghana cedis. And if you say a hospital is in operation, hospital is not just the brick and mortar. And that is the more reason why, if you recall, I was requesting to see certain departments. Take me to the lab, take me to the theater, take me to this place to see. You cannot commission a project without hospital equipment being installed. And you can see the installation of the equipment is less than 10%. You saw it for yourself. And we need this facility alone, minimum, we need not less than 300 people before we can start work.
That was the Health Minister Kwabena Mintah Akando.
Let's go back to our earlier story, which has to do with the 2025 budget statement and economic policy of the government. Speak to more stakeholders in the space to get their reaction prior to the presentation of the budget. Joining us now is Dr. Joseph Obin, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, the mother body of all traders association in the country. And so, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Joseph Obin, on Eyewitness News. Right. So for you, what should be some of the issues dominating the budget presentation for the business community?
Yeah, so we need a stability, total stability of the economy, that we adopt measures to help strengthen and stabilize the local currency, to reduce inflation, interest rates, and improve on other economic indicators, especially the exchange rate. These are the indicators that business runs upon, and that we need this to be well done. And so it's very important that we adopt prudent measures, pragmatic measures that will bring us to stability. We are also expecting tax cuts, and that the tax system should be streamlined with special emphasis on the VAT. The VAT as it's structured now is not good at all, and that we want it, the VAT to be made more simplified, affordable, and uniform in order to ensure compliance. So it's very important. The tax as it is now has three phases: the standard rate, the flat rate, and those who are not made to pay, because of the thresholds that we have set to distinguish between these taxes. And it's not done anywhere, and taxes are uniform across the world. And so we expect that it become uniform. We also seek measures that will make duty payments go down reasonably, that the numerous cost items at the ports should be pruned down. This is very important. I heard the finance minister talking to that effect, and it gave me hope that he is going to prune down the cost of doing business at the port. We are also expecting that the dollar be fixed quarterly or biannually for the purposes of duty payment to bring predictability and then stabilize the prices and then the duty that we pay every week. Implementation of the fixed duties promised to the spare parts importers is also, we are also expecting it that they implement both the promise in the manifesto that they will do that. For us, that's the game changer. If they're able to do that and the pilot on the spare parts becomes successful, then it can be replicated to other commodity lines. And so these are basically, and then we want the tax net to be expanded, and then we want, in order to enhance on revenue collection, we expect that the budget adopt measures that will effectively enhance on compliance, such as education, monitoring, and civilized enforcement methods. So these are some of the things that we expect. Having done all these things, we are also expecting that the government, as we are resetting the economy, we will be also giving a tax amnesty to enable businesses to start afresh and also reset their tax obligations. It's very important that we also think in that line because of the cumbersome nature of taxes in the country. Businesses make mistakes when they are filing their taxes, and that it makes them liable or indebted to the GRA. So we plead for tax forgiveness, and that we start afresh and reset our tax obligations. It's also very important. So rationalizing expenditure is very important. If we struggle to get all this revenue and then we misuse it, it doesn't make sense. And so we have to scrutinize and evaluate our spending and to ensure that we minimize waste and then also misappropriation of funds. It's very important to encourage tax payment in this country.
That's a really tall list over there in terms of your expectations of the budget. But really, has the minister met with traders or engaged them? And has he given the assurances that all of these things will be factored into the budget to ease the burden on businesses?
Yeah. So we have the assurance, and we are very happy, especially when he visited the market. He gives assurance and he gives hope and confidence for the business community that they are going to engage with stakeholders, or solicit our input and help us. And if you hear what the minister have been saying, even it preempts most of the things that we are saying. It means that they have a listening ear, and then they are going to implement most of the things that we have. Don't also forget that we had a series of meetings with them, especially when they are designing their manifesto. They had come to us about 3 times for us to put our concerns across and all that. So most of our concerns are already known to the government. Yeah.
All right, grateful for your time with us here on Eyewitness News. That's Dr. Joseph Obin, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association.
Now, the Chamber of Local Governance has expressed concern over the prolonged delay in appointing metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. Despite the vetting of nominees concluding early February, the government has yet to approve and appoint individuals to assume their civil duties. In an interview with Citi News, the president of Chalok, Dr. Richard Fiadomo, warned that the continued delay could hinder development at the local level.
The delay in appointing MMDC is a major worry and is indeed affecting the activities and operations of the assembly. We all know that a lot of things are not being done because of how the local government system is structured, and the chief executive is supposed to be the approving authority. So now we do not have any approving authority at the assembly. So even though the assemblies are taking revenue and monies are coming into the system, the assemblies cannot spend because the coordinating directors who are spending officers must get approval from the MMDC before they can go ahead and spend. So it is a major worry. I honestly do not know why there is this delay, but we know that in certain places the vetting was done and there were petitions here and there, and the national party had to come in to resolve some of these issues. But I think that they should put in a robust system to be able to make sure that the vetting is done with speed and alacrity, to make sure that the president is given the opportunity to nominate any of the three persons who will be submitted to him as the MMDC. The longer it delays, it is really affecting the assemblies. And if care is not taken and they do not come early, the operations of the assembly will be gravely affected.
That was the president of Chamber of Local Governance, Dr. Richard Fiadomo.
Well, in January, President John Dramani Mahama officially sworn into office an 8-member Constitutional Review Committee tasked with the responsibility of assessing and proposing amendment to Ghana's 1992 Constitution. And so 2 months or almost 2 months down the line, we are reaching out to the committee to find out really what the scope of work has been and what the way forward is. Professor Henry Kwesi Prempeh is chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, and he has some other members he is doing this work with. He joins us on telephone tonight on Eyewitness News for more on their work. Good evening to you, Prof. Thank you for joining us on Eyewitness News. From January to now, really, what have you been up to?
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners. So we got inaugurated, as you well know, towards the end of January. Effectively, we assumed office effectively from the 1st of February. And so in the last month and a few weeks, we have been putting our house in order, so to speak. As you well know, this committee is not a regular part of government function. So when an ad hoc committee of this nature is appointed, we have to set it up organizationally. We have to recruit some staff. In addition to the members, we have to have legal researchers, we have to have admin assistants and all of those things. So we spent the best part of last month going through all of these organizational things. In addition to that, we agreed as a committee, we had several meetings to iron out things like the guiding principles that will govern the work that we're about to do as a committee, the decision-making protocols internally. We also had to agree a work plan, do an assessment of the things that we need, resources and everything, and do a work plan, a calendar of activities, itinerary, when we are going to go out of Accra, when we are going to have zonal meetings and all of that. And last Friday, we essentially concluded the organizational part of the business, and we released a timetable of sorts. We did a public release informing Ghanaians of the opportunity that the committee would be availing the Ghanaian public to make input into the process. So we are actually about done now with all of the organizational things, and we are ready to roll.
I see, you are ready to roll. But this engagement that we talk about, when exactly is it beginning and when does it end? And when you go into the communities or your zones, as it were, one, how do people participate, and specifically what the engagement will be?
So we have set up a website, constitutionreviewgh.org. It's up and running. On the website, we have loaded certain pertinent documents about Ghana's constitutional history, the work of the committee, and it's an interactive website. So that is all. Well, that is one source, the first source where those with access to the internet can actually go online and interact with the committee, make submissions to the committee online. Then we have the targeted stakeholder engagements. So these, we call them targeted stakeholder engagement because these are actually individuals, institutions, organizations, and others who by virtue of their experience, expertise, knowledge, and including experience working the Constitution since 1993, have some insights that we would want to tap. So these include like former presidents, like the current president, former speakers, former ministers, political parties, specialized CSOs in some areas, the affected organizations, like, if we are talking about, say, mining or natural resources, say the Minerals Commission, the Petroleum Commission, these are all very specialized bodies and individuals with exceptional knowledge. We want them to weigh in on the review process. So those are targeted stakeholders. And then we have the zonal meetings. We've zoned the 16 regions of the country into 8 zones, and we will then be reaching out, physically going in person to these various communities, most of them regional capitals, and engaging them. At these zonal meetings, we expect that the conversation will be more open-ended. With the stakeholder engagement, the targeted stakeholder engagement, we have identified certain broad thematic areas, and because people tend to be specialized according to these thematic areas, we are inviting them to make clear, specific submissions in these various areas. So these are the various opportunities and channels that we have put out there to engage the public. Websites, targeted stakeholder engagements, and the zonal engagements across 8 zones of the country.
I see, but I also realize that you're expanding your national validation tour, for which reason you've added Sunyani for the engagements. Exactly why?
We had, there was an omission, right? So initially when we put out the numbers, it turned out that there were 7 as opposed to 8. And our attention was very promptly drawn to the fact that it had not covered the Bono zone had not been covered, whether it was Techiman or Sunyani. So we promptly, rectified that error and then issued an amended program that now includes Sunyani. So that brings it actually to 8, so that it becomes 8 out of 16 regions. Essentially, we have reclustered the regions, 16 regions, into 8 zones, and therefore the Sunyani one was an earlier omission that has been rectified.
I see, but you've been speaking loudly about the kind of background work that you have been doing, but in that particular kind of background work, have you really engaged any of the key stakeholders as far as the Constitutional Review Committee is concerned?
Well, we haven't. Recall that we have some inputs already. We have the input from the 2010-2011 process, the Constitution Review Commission's documents and the white paper accompanying it. Those are primary documents for our work. We also have the 2024 Constitution Review Consultative Committee's output. So we have these 2 broad documents form the primary inputs for our work. And so we are reviewing those ones. We are already in-house. We've done, we're still reviewing those recommendations and the narratives and everything. And then, of course, constitutions are not just about constitutional documents. Sometimes legislative legislation actually even impacts. So things like the Transition Act, the Local Government Service Act, all of these things have a way of affecting the way the Constitution operates on the ground. So we are looking at those as well, and then also looking at judicial decisions that interpret the Constitution and therefore have also affected the way we experience the Constitution in practice. So we are putting all of these together, and we are studying all of those documents, and then reaching out to engage the stakeholders and then to engage the general public. So the initial background reading is for our own education. We have to inform ourselves first as to the scope of our work and the nature of the task before we go out to solicit additional input. And the first stage is what we have been doing. Now we are ready for going out and getting the additional perspectives and insights after we have informed ourselves of the nature of our work.
I see. But my final question to you will be on this particular note. For those who are casting doubt on the kind of work we are doing, because we've seen a number of constitutional review committees set up and really nothing comes out of these committees. How different is the H. Kwesi Prempeh committee? And and really, what optimism should Ghanaians be having in this committee?
Yes, I think a lot has changed since 2010, when the major effort was made by Professor Tamils, the late Professor Tamils, President Tamils, to get the Constitution reviewed in a very comprehensive way. A lot of resources went into that, and a huge, voluminous report was produced, almost 1,000 pages, with various recommendations, a roadmap, and all of that. Of course, so far nothing has come out of it, and that, I think, is a source of the doubts and the skepticism that people have about this process. But I think a lot has changed. A lot more. You have Ghanaians much more engaged, much more getting a sense of. I mean, people are expressing really their opinions very strongly about the Constitution. The nature of the governance of the country has gone through some changes throughout this period. Notice that by the time of 2011, we had not even experienced the first election petition had never happened. We have had two since then. We have had a hung parliament. We have had a one-term president. We have had further changes from party to party. We have had, a haircut, all these things. A number of things have happened to our constitutional practice, including, an EC being removed and all of those things. So I think all of these experiences have created a groundswell of anticipation and demand and opinion. A new generation has also come of age. They have their own view of how the country is governed. People are much louder because we have access to social media of a variety of kinds. So all of these put the political pressure on the government. And also the government made constitutional review part of its reset agenda. So the elections were fought over reset, and the reset agenda that prevailed includes resetting the governance of the country, the way the governance is the way the country is governed. So there is also an expectation and indeed an obligation on the government, having secured this wide mandate, to deliver on the mandate. It appears also to have some numbers in Parliament with which it could actually make a move, unlike in the past when the numbers were not there. It is no guarantee that all the numbers will go one way or the other, but I think there's a unique opportunity this time around that was not there before. And so I remain optimistic. By the way, we have engaged the president. He was our first stakeholder engagement. We engaged him last week, Tuesday, and he was very, very, very persuasive about his commitment to see this process through. So we are actually quite assured that this time around, at least, we are going to see a credible movement in the direction of constitutional reform.
A credible movement, you say, but I want to wish you well, and we'll be following your engagement when they take full swing. That's Professor Henry Kwesi Prempeh, chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee set up by President John Dramani Mahama.
The High Court has quashed the Bank of Ghana's revocation of the operating license of Ideal Finance Limited. The ruling, which was delivered today, marks a major victory for the defunct financial institution in its legal battle against the central bank. On August 16, 2019, the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of 23 insolvent savings and loans and finance house companies, including Ideal Finance, GN Savings and Loans, First Allied Savings and Loans, Midland Savings and Loans, and Unicredit Savings and Loans. The court, however, ruled that the Bank of Ghana failed to exhaust the proper procedures required for the revocation of Ideal Finance license. Now, former Deputy Executive Director of the National Service Authority, Gifty Owari-Mensah, has been released by the National Intelligence Bureau after being questioned in connection with an ongoing probe into the ghost name scandal at the NSA. Gifty Owari-Mensah was reportedly arrested on Friday, March 7 and detained briefly before being granted release on Saturday, March 8 after cooperating with investigators. Sources indicate that her interrogation is part of broader effort to unravel alleged irregularities within the National Service scheme. Citi News has gathered that Gifty Owari-Mensah is expected to be recalled for further questioning as investigations progress. However, the full details of her involvement, if any, remain unclear. Authorities have not disclosed whether any formal charges will be filed against her. The Ghana Meteorological Agency has advised farmers to implement effective crop protection measures, warning of a potential dry spell in some parts of the country. In its seasonal forecast for the southern zone, GMET projected an early onset of rains in the forest zone, spanning from the 4th week of February to the 4th week of March. Speaking to Citi News, the Deputy Director of Research and Applied Meteorology at the GMET, Francisca Mate, underscored the need for proactive measures to mitigate the impacts of changing weather patterns.
We expect that our authorities will desilt the drains now that the rain has not come. Okay, they will try and desilt the drains so that we don't have a problem for the West Coast, because West Coast normally in Accra 30 millimeters of rain will even cause flash floods. So we should be a bit more attentive to our surroundings. And then we have something we call dry spells. For dry spells, that's a break in rainfall which will occur above 9 days. We expect that the dry spells will be longer. If the dry spells will be longer, then the farmers who would farm have to take precautionary measures. So in so doing, the farmers, they have climate smart agriculture practices. That is to cover the ground, that is to plant creeping crops that will keep the ground very cool till the next rain, for the plants to be safeguarded.
Deputy Director of Research for the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Francisca Mate.
Now, the National Road Safety Authority plans to reintroduce the Road Traffic Regulations Amendment Bill to Parliament within 2 months. The bill will curb speeding through the use of street cameras and spot fines. A previous version stalled due to concerns over MPs using sirens, a clause now removed. The Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaliba, says the bill will also address the legalization of commercial motorbike operations known as Okadas.
Give me next 2 months. The LI 2478, if it is passed, will bring into force this spot fine. You remember this law was supposed to pass, but there was public outcry against the siren which was put in there to protect MPs. You remember that? And so that law didn't pass. And I'm saying that if you give me within 2 months, because that law is being worked on again, we'll be able to deal with spot fines. Traffic Tech is the spot fine that you are talking about, and it will come in place immediately this law is passed.
But you will remove the part that gives the MPs the right to use sirens, I guess.
Oh yes, that's gone. That's gone. So it will come back without that one. In fact, it will come with the introduction of legalizing Okada.
He further added that there will be nationwide engagements ahead of the legalization of the commercial motor riders, including education and official registration.
Okada will have public engagements. We'll have one in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and there's a 4th one in Volta. We need to engage our MTTD to ensure that road regulations are obeyed by the Okada riders. We are also going to register them. We are going to register owners of these motorbikes. Then we would give them some clothing in terms of reflectors. They will put on helmets, and they will have their numbers embossed on the helmets. And so we have studied a lot of things from the Rwanda experience, and if implemented to the letter, this would not cause us any havoc on our roads. And so we are also going to give them sensitization on road safety before they even come onto the roads. And they will be put in cooperatives.
You heard the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaliba. Now, the School Feeding Caterers Association has welcomed the government decision to increase the school feeding grant from 1 Ghana cedis 50 pesos to 2 cedis per pupil. Finance Minister Dr. Kasaya Latoforsen announced the adjustment during a social media engagement ahead of the March 11 budget presentation. President of the association, Nana Otusechi Amotrafohene, says while the amount is still inadequate, it shows the government's willingness to address public concerns.
We were really happy when we heard that the fee will be increased. we are praying that the JHS will also have their share very soon. So it's every government's priority to sustain school feeding program. And one of the important things that the government can implement to sustain the program is the fee per child. We say thank you to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama by listening to caterers. We the school feeding caterers, have been crying for a long time for increment. 2 cities is not enough though. But we still manage it. Actually, we had a meeting with the sector minister on 3rd March, and we did not talk much about the increment. So I think maybe it will start from the 3rd term. So the 3rd term will start immediately after April.
That was National President of the School Feeding Caterers Association, Nana Otu Sechi Amo Trafohini. Let's take you to the Ashanti region now, where health and veterinary officials in the region are alarmed by rising rabies cases following the death of a 12-year-old student in Efiduase, Asokore. The child, bitten by a dog on January 6, is said to have sought medical care late. Ashanti Regional Veterinary Director Dr. Mabel Abudu called for immediate medical attention for dog bites and asked the government to invest in veterinary services to curb the spread of rabies.
They are running nose diarrhea, a very severe one, and they die. So we have vaccines for that. So when I even joined the system, we're doing that. So you could not hear too much of rabies cases. But it's been, if I'm not mistaken, more than 15 years we have stopped. And so we are asking the individuals to bring their pets themselves to come and do, which is their responsibility. But you tell me, most of the animals are in our rural settings. They don't have the money. And so if you send the vaccine, then you are even taking 15 cedis. Because the one going there also needs certain things, syringes, motorbikes, all of that. And you are even asking them 10 cedis or 15 cedis per animal. They are not able to afford. And that is why I feel that it should be the responsibility of the Ghana government from setting a certain percentage every month for the directorate to be able to purchase the vaccines and all the logistical support that it may require.
Ashanti Regional Veterinary Director Dr. Mabel Abudu taking us on a break here on Eyewitness News with me, Ni Lati and Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. When we come back, we have the very latest in the world of business.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This year, something magical is happening. A celebration of tradition, flavor, and community. Welcome to the Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025.
Taste the heart of your heritage with mouth-watering dishes from across the country like Ademe with Akple, Tozafi with Ayoyo soup, Kokonte, Apopranta, Rare Quine, and many more. From rich spices to sweet treats, it's a journey for your senses. We're taking you back to your village.
Oh yes, let's recreate our age-old recipes.
But it's not just about food, you know. We're celebrating culture, connecting with family, and making memories that last a lifetime.
This March, let's come together and discover the flavors that make us who we are. The date is 29th and 30th of March 2025. The venue, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and the time is 10 a.m. through till 6 p.m. each day.
The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025, where food, fun, and tradition meet. See you there.
Interested vendors should call 0558 973 973 or 0205 973 973 to register. The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Gino.
Gasaba. Smoke from firewood and charcoal is harmful and as damaging to our lungs as cigarettes. It can cause heart diseases leading to stroke and may even affect our eyesight in the long run. Grandmothers, mothers, sisters, wives, men, caterers, and everyone still cooking with charcoal, let's switch to LPG gas. The National Petroleum Authority has introduced the cylinder recirculation model in collaboration with local partners to make gas more accessible in all local communities. Whether you own a cylinder or not, join our CRM initiative. Simply show up at any exchange point near you with a small down payment to receive a filled cylinder or swap your empty one. Regular safety checks will be in place. Say a bisa museo more gas. Afe die gasaba. Switch from firewood and charcoal to gas for a better and healthier life. This message is brought to you by the National Petroleum Authority and the Ministry of Energy.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expression and soak yourself in a celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th.
It's an opportunity to see Ghana in a more beautiful, and the people, the connection, incredible.
Discover the beauty and history of our land. Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March the 29th and 30th.
The millet tozafi, the corn tozafi, we have the tubani, we have the wache, we have the dawa jollof rice. We also serve the local northern beverages. That's pito and zonko.
Taste the essence of Ghana.
The first one I was here, the second one I was here, the third one I was here, this one and the fourth one. And it's now not just a bazaar, it's a festival now. And I'm so excited because this is what we should be doing.
Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV each week.
Owusu is a general account name. It's Dev's character. Owusu Subain. So that is why the appellation is Owusu Eduam. You see, when an Ashanti is Eduam, it will be something that belongs to him. So Dev's character, he comes to you and grab you as if it belongs to him.
Delve into what makes us Ghanaians. The Heritage On Air series is sponsored by the National Lotteries Authority. Explore our places of interest, feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in our indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage in this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. Ghana's economy expanded by 5.7% in 2024, surpassing the revised 3.1% growth rate recorded in 2023. However, growth in the fourth quarter of 2024 slowed to 3.6%, down from 7.2% in the third quarter. The slowdown in quarter four was largely driven by weaker growth in the industry sector, which expanded by just 0.2%. A significant factor was the sharp contraction in mining and quarrying, which accounted for about 43% of the industry sector's total value. Here is the government statistician giving more highlights on the growth trajectory.
From a sectoral perspective, we continue to see the dominance of the services sector. GDP at basic prices was 308 billion Ghana cedis in the last quarter of 2024. And this GDP at basic prices, services accommodated close to 50% of the GDP at basic prices, with a figure of 151.5 billion Ghana cedis, representing 49.2%. The industry sector followed with 31.9%, and lastly, the agriculture sector contributed a fifth to GDP at basic prices, specifically 19.0% for the last quarter of 2024. We look at the growth rates over the time period, 6-year period, from the last quarter of 2019 to the last quarter of 2024. The increases that we saw in the first 3 quarters of the year increasing from 1.9% through to 5.1% to 7.5% in the last quarter of 2024 has been reversed, with a slowdown in the growth rate of 3.6%.
Professor Samuel Kobna-Inim is government statistician. Peasant farmers are impressing upon the government to ensure that 10% of its maiden budget is allocated to agriculture, with focus on capital expenditure to boost productivity and drive the economy. Their call aligns with Agenda 2063 of the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, where member states of the African Union, including Ghana, to ensure that 10% of their national budget is allocated to agriculture. Daniel Odrumensa has more in this report.
The farmers expressed concern over past government failure to allocate even 2% of the national budget to agriculture, a shortcoming that has hindered significant growth in the sector. As Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen prepares to present the budget on Tuesday, March 11, 2025, the farmers are calling for funds to address key infrastructural challenges within the agricultural sector. The Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Norte, spoke to Citi Business News.
For this budget, we expect that at least government should be nearing the 10% allocation that we are all expecting as part of the CADEP declaration, that the national budget, at least 10% should go to agriculture. Now, out of this 10%, whatever goes to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, we don't expect much of the money to go into goods and services. We expect that at least 50% of the expenditure should be going into what we call capital expenditure. So we know that we have a lot of people. So we want to see a chunk of the money going into the construction of dams, the centers, the warehousing, the roads. That will stimulate production for smallholder farmers.
The association has also called on the government to review the Tax Exemptions Act to ensure that agricultural inputs remain tax-free.
If you want to bring down the cost of production, we are saying that the government should be looking at the Tax Exemption Act and review the act to ensure that agricultural input and equipment are tax-free to make their costs lower for farmers to be able to produce. We also anticipate that in the long term, we should be having plans to establish our own factories to produce the seeds and the fertilizer and then equipment, but we don't have to import.
That was the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Norte, ending that report by Daniel Odrumensa. Government has hinted at expenditure cuts to help address expected revenue shortfalls ahead of the 2025 budget presentation to Parliament tomorrow. According to Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, these adjustments will be necessary to compensate for the removal of certain taxes, including the e-levy, as promised by the new administration. Making these remarks during a youth engagement section on X Spaces, he noted that interest payment obligations will see a slight increase.
You'll be seeing some drop in primary expenditures because what we are seeking to do is to go through a very strong fiscal consolidation. You will see an increase in debt servicing because Ghana is resuming the payment of debt, because in the past 2 years, the government of Ghana was not servicing some debt, particularly the Eurobond debt servicing and all. But we have just resumed the servicing of those debts. And so you'll see an increase in debt service obligation. If you adjust debt servicing and look at primary expenditures, you see some significant reduction as compared to the outturn of 2024. That one, you should expect to see that.
The Finance Minister also indicated that taxes at the ports will be rationalized to enhance trade facilitation and ease the financial burden on businesses.
We believe that some of the taxes and some levies in particular can be removed, because it will surprise you to know that all these levies and taxes does not come straight to the central government. Some of the levies you see there are being, the benefits is not going straight to support the consolidated fund. And so we need to identify who are those benefiting from these levies and for what purpose. And then if there's the need for us to remove them, we will have to remove them. So there's a team that are working at the moment as we speak, and I'm sure in due course, again in the budget, we'll hear some announcement.
Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen ending Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expression and soak yourself in a celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th, as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th.
It's an opportunity to see Ghana in a more beautiful, and the people, the connection, incredible.
Discover the beauty and history of our land.
Of their labors.
Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March the 29th and 30th.
The millet tozafi, the corn tozafi, we have the tubani, we have the wache, we have the dawa jollof rice. We also serve the local northern beverages. That's pito and zonko.
Taste the essence of Ghana.
The first one I was here, the second one I was here, the third one I was here, this one and the fourth one. And it's now not just a bazaar, it's a festival now. And I'm so excited because this is what we should be doing.
Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV each week.
The Owusu is a general account name. It's Dev's character. Owusu. So that is why the appellation is Owusu Eduam. You see, when an Ashanti is Eduam, it means something that belongs to him. So Dev's character, he comes to you and grab you as if it belongs to him.
Delve into what makes us Ghanaians. The Heritage On Air series is sponsored by the National Lotteries Authority. Explore our places of interest, feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in our indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage in this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
This year, something magical is happening. A celebration of tradition, flavor, and community. Welcome to the Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025.
Taste the heart of your heritage with mouth-watering dishes from across the country like Ademe with akple, Tozafi with ayoyo soup, kokonte, apopranta, rerenkwine, and many more. From rich spices to sweet treats, it's a journey for your senses. We're taking you back to your village.
Oh yes, let's recreate our age-old recipes.
But it's not just about food, you know. We're celebrating culture, connecting with family, and making memories that last a lifetime.
This March, let's come together and discover the flavors that make us who we are. The date is 29th and 30th of March 2025. The venue, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and the time is 10 a.m. through till 6 p.m. each day.
The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025, where food, fun, and tradition meet. See you there.
Interested vendors should call 0558 973 973 or 0205 973 973 to register. The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Gino.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
.3 Citi FM. This is still Eyewitness News. I am Ni Latte. Time now for Point Blank. Our guest for Point Blank tonight was a key member of the Dr. Bawumia campaign team in the 2024 election. In fact, he was the spokesperson for the Bawumia campaign team. Miracles Dennis Abuaji is my guest tonight on Eyewitness News. We've caught up with him to discuss the fallout of the 2024 election. Miracles Dennis Abuaji, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Really, how do I even begin? What have you been up to? Where have you been? What have you been doing? The others who even said that, well, he's gone into hiding. He's traveled out of the country. Really, just speak to us. Good to catch you tonight on Point Blank on Eyewitness News.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. So, yes, I've been in town. I'm surprised because I'm sure you would notice that Citi is just one out of the two media houses I have at least spoken to after the elections. So it's not as if after the elections I have actually granted an interview to Citi. I think I spoke with Umaru Sanda.
Yes, that was on face to face.
Yes, so yes, I have been around. Of course, we had to do a lot of introspections and retrospections and strategize and prepare for our restructuring and regrouping of our party and how we can individually and collectively contribute to our comeback.
I see. We'll be talking about the specifics of the restructuring and your comeback in the next general election. But I asked how you were doing. Is it also possible for you to tell us how Dr. Bawumia is doing? Where is he now, and what has he also been up to?
Dr. Bawumia has been fine. I know you are aware that he has been part of several elections. He's seen the wins and the losses. At least 5 elections he has partaken in, and so he understands clearly how some of these things need to be managed, and he's guiding all of us. He's guiding the entire party, working with everybody to ensure that we get out of the downheartedness and this setback and come back stronger. So he's been a great pillar for party, and he continues to give us the guidance and direction as we work towards restructuring and getting back.
Is it fair to say that the party has come over its 38% that it got in the general election? Is it fair to say that the party has really come to terms with the loss in that general election?
So just as a slight but very important correction, we didn't get 38%. We got over 41%. The 38% is just a propaganda around by the NDC. But we actually attained 41%, over 41% in the elections, and not 38%. I think that a loss is a loss. Once you go into an election that says that you win, you get 50% plus 1, and you win, and you fail to get it, that's a loss. Of course, losing with over 1.7 million votes is huge, and it even becomes more topical when it is unprecedented. You recall that in 2016, when President Mahama lost by over 1 million votes, it was quite topical because at the time, it was quite unheard of for anybody to have lost elections by a million votes. But eventually they managed to overcome it and get back stronger. And so, like I said earlier, we lost the elections, 41% thereabouts. We lost with over 1.7 million gap. What we are doing is to look into it and see how we'll be able to build our party and make it stronger and be ready for the next elections. And be rest assured that everybody in the party across the length and breadth of this country understands this position of the party, and under the direction of the leadership of this party, with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia playing a very crucial role in this aspect, we are working to get back stronger. It is a setback, yes, but trust the MPP to get back even stronger than we were earlier.
But if you say you are looking into it as a party, exactly what do you mean? Many think that this was the worst defeat for the NPP as far as the country's general election is concerned. So perhaps from the 9th of December, when the Electoral Commission announced the results, and now as we speak, really, what has the party found to be the cause of the loss?
I think the National Council of the party has actually set up a committee led by the Venerable Professor Okoye and another stalwart of this party. And they've been doing some fantastic work over the period. They've been moving across the country and engaging both persons within and without the party to be able to give us some sense of what needs to be done, what needs to be improved, what needs to be loosened up a bit, what needs to be re-looked at and all of that. And so I will not preempt it. I will not preempt this committee's work. I think that eventually when the committee finishes its work and submits its report, it would be a good guide for the party as to what we need to look at, what we need to do, what we need to strengthen or otherwise in our quest to get back.
I see. Let's talk about the kind of opposition the NPP will be 3 months or about 8 weeks into the John Dramani Mahama government, and you know the economy was one of the key conversations in the lead up to the 2024 general elections. Now the government says that it is embarking on an economic reset, for which reason last week they held the National Economic Dialogue. Tomorrow, the finance minister will also be presenting the government's maiden budget statement and economic policy to Parliament. If you put all of these things together, one, how are you seeing the new government taking shape, and what kind of opposition will the NPP be in the next 4 years?
I think all of us are taking a cue from, like I said, if you remember the consensus speech by our flag bearer, to the effect that we are not going to be a disruptive opposition. We are going to be a very constructive one, an opposition that believes that we have a country to run and an economy to build and the people to lead, improve. For which reason he directs that we provide very essential inputs in making sure that the NDC government is able to stay on its feet and deliver on the promises that is made to the people of Ghana. And I think that's what all of us are taking cues from. And that's what you should expect from us. And so far, I believe you have noticed from the work of the mighty minority in Parliament and how well they are doing in ensuring that is always held to account for what it is that they've promised the people of this country. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We believe that for each of the things that the NDC as a party promised the people, and each of the promises and pledges that they made, they have a fiduciary relationship to the people of this country, and they must fulfill that promise. And so our job as an opposition party is to work with them to ensure that they fulfill each of the promises. And so, for instance, the budget for tomorrow, I'm looking forward to the finance minister cancelling the emission tax. I'm looking forward to him cancelling the COVID tax. He should be cancelling the betting tax. He should be cancelling the e-levy.
That, because that's basically the promise they made to the people of this country, and they hold it as a responsibility to us to fulfill that promise. And we'll just hold their hands to fire. And I think that is what oppositions are meant to do. But we are not going to be disruptive like they did to us. You know, you remember how it was, I mean, do you recall? It was chaotic. Basically, every good thing that was sent to Parliament had to either be stalled or be sort of some chaos created around it. Look at what happened in 2022. The actions of the NDC and Parliament in 2022 delayed a lot of government business. For which reason, by the time we even managed to pass e-levy, which we're going to use as an alternative to so many other things.
It's good you've mentioned e-levy now, but when we're talking about the kind of taxes you expect the government to abolish, I didn't hear you talk about e-levy.
That's what I mentioned immediately I was sitting down.
I see.
Yeah.
Why do you want the government to abolish e-levy?
Because they told us, the people, at the time e-levy was there, when they were asking that we vote for them, that they think e-levy is a draconian tax that was imposing a lot of hardship on the people. And so when they come, they will remove it. So it's just fulfilling your promise.
But for the COVID tax, for example, there have been calls for it to be channeled into other sources. Wouldn't you be pushing for that other than its total scrapping?
We didn't ask for scrapping this.
So you are just saying that because the government, the opposition party then said that all of these taxes will be removed. Now that the power has been given to them, you think they should just go according
you should. But otherwise, then you've let down the entire country, isn't it? If you came to tell the entire country, yes, it will be the grandest of deception that this country would have experienced. That a political party comes to make promises to you, specific promises, and assures you that if you vote this government out, these specific things will do for you, and they come and they don't do it, then we are in trouble.
But here's a government that is also pointing accusing fingers at you. That's the NPP, trying to say that some of the underlying economic situation that we have and the lingering pressures on the economy is as a result of your doing. That's your government, and for which reason they are looking at resetting the economy. Now, if you look at the IMF deal, for example, now the president says that they are not going in for an extension. And this is a policy that was secured by the NPP government. And so if this government says that, well, we are not going for an extension, we are looking at homegrown solutions, they are also looking at tightening the public purse, revenue rationalization. Do you think all of these things are heavy things for the government to chew on?
But I'm very sure that before a political party puts up their manifesto and comes to you as a voter and say that vote for me and I'll remove betting tax, vote for me and I'll remove COVID tax, vote for me and I'll reduce import duties at the port, he must be very much aware what the alternatives are and where he's going to get these alternatives from. And so that shouldn't be you and I as citizens our burden. It should be the government's burden to deal with it, because they knew what the situations were. They knew that the economy had gone to the IMF for a bailout, and they knew that we're working towards with an IMF program, and yet they made those promises. And I think that it's only fair that if you make such a promise, you fulfill this promise without really giving any more excuses. All the points you make, all the excuses you make, all the things you speak about, these things were known to them before they came to office. The finance minister was the ranking member on the finance committee. So all these variables and elements were before him, before they make those promises. And I think that they owe it to us as a Ghanaian people that they only fulfill these simple promises that they made, in spite of all these challenges you mentioned. They were also there at the time the previous government were there. And so if you knew these challenges and yet you made those promises, then you should have a plan B. On taxes, I think the Ghanaian people are simply expecting them to remove the taxes they say they will remove and not introduce any more taxes, because you can't remove taxes and bring taxes. You cannot remove taxes and bring taxes. And so we don't expect them tomorrow in the budget to introduce any new taxes. We simply want them to have a budget where they have reduced a lot of taxes at the port. The Corolla that you are probably clearing with 100,000, you should be clearing at the port with about 40,000, 45,000. You don't pay any emission tax. You don't pay any e-levy. You don't pay any COVID tax. You don't pay any 10% on betting. But my worry is this. You know the way they say it in the Bible. What shall it profit the Ghanaian people if you remove e-levy and introduce increased stock tax?
Is this in the Bible?
What shall it profit the people of Ghana if you remove emission tax and introduce rent tax? What shall it profit us if you remove COVID-19 tax and then you come and introduce 3 or 4 more taxes? That for me is what the government needs to come and be able to convince us as a people. But for now, whether we like it or not, it's an albatross. We have to deal with it for the next 4 years. That notwithstanding, they have a responsibility to simply live up to what it is that they promised.
I see, but they've already said that there will be no new taxes in this budget. But back to the issue of the scrapping of these taxes that you talk about, you know that they said that the taxes will be removed in their first 120 days. And so tomorrow, really, if in the budget we do not see that because the 120 days is not up, is it really a matter of concern? Is it something that
yes, because it's only it's only through the budget that you would read out your revenue and expenditure. So within 120 days, the only window within 120 days that any government in this first 120 days can actually deal with these taxes is through the budget. There's no window. So if they miss it, it means that they are not going to be able to fulfill that 120-day promise.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the issues that have also come up. So, for example, I don't know if you are aware of a survey that has been conducted in the Ashanti region, for example, where it speaks to the kind of issues that led to your defeat in the region, quote unquote. Have you seen it? What do you make of the concerns raised in there, for example?
This afternoon, I think I said it on one of the media on the media platform that enough of the post-party conversations. We are rebuilding our party like we always do. This is the first.
You have been talking about rebuilding. I want to know the specific way we are rebuilding the party.
It's not for us. It's not for. I mean, when Citi, you go for your management meetings, don't come and tell us, even though we are your stakeholders, how you are going to.
But the party is not just about the executives.
I disagree.
The members are also.
I disagree with our party people who come and sit on radio and discuss all these our party issues.
Why do you disagree with them?
Because that's not the way to go. So all the members in our party know the platforms on which we engage. At the polling station level, we have our polling station meetings, we have our constituency conferences, we have our regional conferences, our national conferences, the national council meetings, constituency meetings. That is where the party issues are discussed. And one of the things I would use a platform to do is to call on all our party people that yes, it was a very painful loss. It's been a very difficult moment for all of us. I personally, for one, would have wished that we won this election. I don't think if we needed 5 people who really wanted MPP and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to win the next elections, I would either be number 1 or number 2. And so it is quite difficult that we could not attain the objective that we had to attain. And I personally apologize to every single MPP member and MPP sympathizer across the country that we should quickly let go and reorganize and regroup and work together to do our job as an opposition party, providing credible alternative for the people so we can get back to power. I am sorry. I apologize. If for whatever reason you find it difficult to let go without anybody pointing at anybody as a person you want to blame, you bring the blame on me. Put the blame on me. I will take it. I would take the fall. I believe that as a campaign comms director, my single job was to work together with the party people so we win power. If we don't win it, it's not far-fetched if I take the blame, if I take the fall for it. So I apologize profusely, and I say that forgive us. We intended well, we meant well, we dedicated ourselves and committed everything, just like all of you do. The millions of MPP persons across the country did their utmost best. It just wasn't our time in the 2024 elections. But we've seen this before, we've done this before, and together we'll work together and get back stronger. I'm not going to discuss reports. I don't even know how that report came out in the first place and how it came to the public space.
These are really strong words you are telling your disgruntled and disappointed party members who are actually saddened by the party's performance. But in 60 seconds, I know 2028 is a very long time, But I don't know what picture we are likely to see in 2028 when the campaign builds up again. And now that you are done with the campaign, what's next for you?
Well, I mean, we are still a political party that is working to provide credible alternative to the people of this country. And so, like I've clearly told you, our job is to ensure that we keep the government on its toes and consistently engage the Ghanaian people to provide them with credible alternative for them. But as a person, of course, we have our private venture that we are engaged in. And then, of course, we also do the work for Mother Ghana and our party as well. And so we'll combine all of it and make sure that eventually we are ready for 2028. We don't wish any evil on the NDC as a party. We wish them well. And that is why we want them to call for a state of emergency, because Galamsey is escalated. That's what they professed 2 months ago to us. That is why we asked them to.
Galamsey has escalated.
Yes, it's gone. It's escalated than it was in December or November.
But what did the MPP do about Galamsey?
We bent excavators. We arrested them. We put them in jail. And the president today said that was not the way to go.
Did not suffice.
But that's exactly what he's doing now. So we don't want him to do the same thing he said. You remember he said on a campaign platform that he doesn't understand why we are arresting people in the pits, and that when he comes, we release them. Why is he arresting them in the pits today? Today, your news people have carried it. Why is he doing the same thing? You remember he said that as of December, 2 days to elections, he was calling on the president to declare a state of emergency. He's been president for 60 days. Why isn't he declaring? Remember when he said that he was going to place a ban on small-scale mining for a while, and that he was going to make it illegal to mine in the forest reserves, and that we should repeal the EI that allowed people to mine the forest reserves. Why haven't they done it over 60 days? So these are things that, I mean, these are fair things. We're not asking him for too much. We are simply asking for things that he said he would do. And those things are things that we are asking him to just fulfill for us. That's all.
Dennis Miracles Abuaji, spokesperson for the Dr. Bawumia campaign team in the 2024 election. At a point, he thought he was still campaigning. But that's our show for today. It's been Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Ni Latte. The show returns tomorrow at 5:30 GMT. Up next is a repeat of the Heritage On Air series here on 97.3 Citi FM. Have a good night.
Citi News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at Citi 973.
Citi 97.3. Accra. Citi 97.3. Accra.
Outside the